least one person who has taken a dance class in her life. It may be a friend, a cousin, even you. It doesn't really matter. The point is, we all know at least one person who has taken a dance class in their lives. According to Samantha Burroughs, a former dancer, about 70% of kids in the US take dance lessons as little kids. However, only 10% of these kids will grow up to become professional dancers, and 3% of them will become prima ballerinas, who, in case you don't know, are professional dancers, principal dancers within their companies, so a really high level of dance. You may be wondering why this 70% turns into 10%. Well, the dance industry is an extremely demanding world, in which dancers have a lot of pressure to become what they want. First of all, dancers are meant to start young. The younger, the better. This is because it usually takes about 8 to 10 years to become a professional dancer. So if you really think about it, you would have to start your professional training when you're about 16 years old at the latest. However, most professional dancers start when they're about 12 years old. So imagine this. You're a 12-year-old kid and you're being asked by your teachers and family members whether you want to become a professional dancer. As a kid, this sounds great, right? You'll get to dance all day and you won't have to go to school anymore. However, when the time comes to actually doing it, reality kicks in. In order to become a professional dancer, you will have to leave your house, your friends, and your family. You will now live in a dance academy, dance about 5 to 6 hours a day, and live off a pretty basic diet. On top of all this, you will be bombarded with pressures and stereotypes that you have to accomplish, because at the end of the day, you are a ballerina, and a ballerina is the perfect weight, the perfect height, and the perfect amount of strong. But don't get me wrong, you can never be too muscular. You have to be strong, but slim. Your feet have to be pointed in this exact way, and your leg has to be in this exact height. And you have to do this exact amount of turns, because if you don't, you're out. The company doesn't need you if you're not going to do exactly what they ask for. Why would they waste their time on you when they could be working with someone so much better? But remember, you're only 12 years old. This is just starting. The dance industry is filled with pressures. Trust me, I know. I have been dancing since I was about 4 years old. I am now 17, so that's about 13 years. When I was 12 years old, I was put through the exact scenario that I just went through. I was asked by my teachers and family members whether I wanted to become a professional dancer. Imagine the amount of pressure on a 12-year-old. I don't even know what I want to do now. And they were asking me to decide my life and basically my entire future when I was 12. So clearly, I said no. When I found out that I would have to leave my friends and family, I decided that it wasn't worth it. I decided that I would just dance because I loved it, because it was the greatest passion that I had ever found. No pressure, right? At least I thought no pressure. As a dancer, you will be constantly bombarded with questions about whether you're good enough, whether it's worth it to miss a party because you have rehearsal, or even whether you have the right body to be a ballerina. Even though these questions have always chased me and will always be with me as a dancer, I have always been lucky enough to have a support system. Most dancers don't get to have this. However, I was lucky enough to have amazing dance teachers and dance schools and family members who were there to support me no matter what, constantly reminding me that I was good enough and that I could accomplish anything that I wanted. For example, when I was 12 years old and I told my dance teacher that I didn't want to become a professional, I got the best reaction possible. I now understand that she would have loved for me to become a professional. Who wouldn't, right? She would have been raising a professional dancer. However, during her class, she never showed this to me. I understand this now because I'm older, but at the time I had no idea. She would treat me like any other student in her class. She would put the same amount of pressure, work with me the same way that she did with anyone else. Dance schools are meant to get students to the point where they can make a profession out of something that they're truly passionate about. To me, this means support no matter what. No matter how old you are, how you look, or how much of a future they believe that you have in the industry. I have been lucky enough to have this throughout my whole life. I have also been lucky enough to have an amazing support system when it comes to my family members. My parents have always been there for me, supporting me no matter what. They pushed me to take any decision and opportunity that I had and make it on my own, because at the end, they understood that it was my journey with dance, and it was my decision whether I wanted to become a professional or just do it because I loved it, whether I wanted to take a break for some time or just keep going no matter what. They understood that it was my decision. Sadly, a lot of girls don't have this in their life. A lot of dancers don't have this support, which is why there's a lot of mental, emotional, and physical problems in dance. So, in order to get rid of these stereotypes, we would have to start with the nature of them. Dance schools. As humans, we have a need to please people. For dancers, we're constantly looking to please our teachers. No matter what, our teachers are always going to be the ones that are either yelling at us or telling us that we did an amazing job. For dancers, we're constantly looking to make them proud, to make them say, yes, that's right, instead of yelling at us that we're doing everything wrong. So basically, if a dancer grows up in an environment, where it's really healthy and the teacher is constantly telling them that they're doing an amazing job, not always, but most of the times, they're never putting them down, they're never body shaming them, they're gonna grow up to love dance. Even if they stop dancing for a while, they're gonna love it. They're always gonna be passionate about it. However, if a dancer grows up in an environment where they're constantly being told that they're not good enough, that they're never gonna make it in the industry, or that they're too fat to be a ballerina, they're gonna hate dance. They're gonna have an extremely toxic relationship with it, and they're never gonna want to dance again. So, I would love to tell you that we could just get rid of these stereotypes. However, it's not that easy. They have been with us through our entire lives. Think about kids' shows that portray ballerinas. They're always seen in the same way. The perfect, skinny dancer that does everything perfectly. As a kid, I remember watching these shows and saying, oh my god, I want to be like them when I grow old. I want to dance just like them. I want to get all the principal roles all the time. But how do I feel? But how can I get all those principal dances? I have to be just like them. I have to be skinny, and I have to be pretty, and I have to be perfect. These types of ideas and shows just help to solidify the stereotypes made towards dancers. Accompanied by this, dance teachers are constantly putting pressure and solidifying these stereotypes in the kids. Personally, I have experienced multiple instances in which my dance teachers said comments not all directed towards me, but my classmates as well, involving the dancer's body. Comments like, I can see your lunch, or you look like you're made out of gelatin, can be extremely impactful for a young girl. Imagine being 15 years old and being told by your dancer to comment in front of the entire class what you're most insecure about when it comes to your body. And once you say it, your teacher proceeds to agree with you and say that there's a reason that you're insecure about that and that you should be insecure about that. As a 15-year-old girl, this is obviously going to impact your mental and emotional health and physical health in some way. Alongside with this, dancers are forced to wear skin-tight leotards and tights in front of large mirrors, looking at themselves constantly, judging everything about their body, whether it's about their technique or just about how their body looks. They're constantly judging everything about it. According to Chen Louis, a nutritionist from Boston University, about 12% of dancers struggle with eating disorders, and 50% of them are underweight. These statistics are truly impressive, and even more when thinking about the idea that these are not the only problems that dancers struggle with. Injuries are extremely common in ballet. As any other athlete, dancers are completely dependent on their body. If they get injured, they won't have a job. So basically, you won't eat today because you sprained your ankle. Especially in ballet, injuries are extremely common because ballet is about doing everything that your body is supposed to do. Everything that you're used to doing, you have to do the opposite. For example, turnout, which is basically standing like this. This motion can become extremely strainful on dancers' hips, knees, and ankles. In this position, dancers are meant to throw their legs up high, turn, and shift their weight. Everything in dance has to be like this. Everything in dance is the opposite of what we're used to doing. So if you really think about it, dancers are bound to get injured. And this is terrible for them because dancers do not have the time to get better. As a dancer, you have show after show and rehearsal after rehearsal. Every day you're rehearsing for a new show, which means that you have no time to heal. So you're just dancing on a sprained ankle. How are you supposed to ever get better? Your injury is just going to get worse, right? So, as I mentioned before, ballet is based around perfection. Ballerinas have to be perfect, not only within ballet, but with everything in their lives. We are constantly pressured to be perfect. Why? Because everything in dance must be perfect. I can guarantee you that you will never see a dance company or a dance school that is going to put something on stage that is not 100% perfect, that has not been rehearsed 1,000 times. Every part of it, the music, the lighting, every music has been done 1,000 times, over and over again, until dancers get it right, until it's perfect. Everything that dancers do must be perfect, always. Obviously, this can be extremely frustrating for any person. Imagine being a dancer and doing the same step over and over, and you just can't get it right. As any sport, dance is about trying and failing, constantly. Personally, I have learned to be patient with myself, because even though I understand that there's no such thing as perfection, I know that it takes a long time to get as close to it as we can. Imagine the frustration that a dancer feels when they see a classmate doing 5 turns non-stop and they're barely doing 2 or 3. Obviously, this is going to lead to mental and emotional issues. Studies have shown that anxiety and depression are extremely high in dancers. These are mostly caused by the frustration that they feel. Dancers are convinced that they have to be constantly perfect, that everything they do in their lives has to be perfect. Obviously, it's very hard to deconstruct this idea because it has been with us just like all the other stereotypes about dancers' bodies or how they should look and how they should be. So, for me, I love dance. It's my favorite thing. It's my greatest passion and I love it. I cannot imagine my life without it. I cannot imagine my life without going after school every afternoon to dance 4 to 3 hours a day. I can't. But I also understand all the bad things that dance has. Even though for me, dance has outweighed, the positives of dance have outweighed the negatives, I still understand that there are a million things that are wrong with it. I know that there's so many problems that lead to so many dancers having so many issues, whether they're emotional, mental, or physical. As much as I understand this, I would love to tell you that we can just change it in a day. But it's not that easy. It's a process and it's hard. In order to change them, at least we have to clear consciousness. At least if we understand that not just dancers, but athletes in general go through an insane amount of pressure to get to the point that they want to be, we can start to change it. We can start to help these athletes and dancers to accomplish their dreams and make of their lives something with the passions that they have. At least knowing this, we can understand that as athletes, we are constantly fighting just to accomplish our dreams through our passions. Thank you.